Welcome back to the Data Crunch podcast. I'm Vadym, Growth Marketing Manager here at OWAX, and today we're talking about something that every business claims to do, but very few actually get right. Data-driven decision making, or DDDM. We all hear about the importance of making decisions based on data. But what does that really mean? And how do you actually do it in a way that drives real business results? To break it all down, I have our product manager Kyrylo with me. Kyrylo, let's start with a simple question. What exactly is data-driven decision making?
Hey Vadym. Yeah, this is a big one. Data-driven decision making is basically just a fancy way of saying let's use data and not just gut feelings to make business decisions. So instead of thinking I feel like this product will sell well, a data-driven company would analyze customer behavior, market trends, and past sales data to make that decision.
Before we jump into the details of this topic, I want to encourage everyone watching us on YouTube to hit that subscribe button and leave your thoughts in the comments below, because we believe that your interaction makes these conversations richer. For our listeners on other platforms, make sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. We release fresh insights every Thursday that are essential for transforming your approach to business through data. Now, Kyrylo, could you share a practical example of data-driven decision-making in action?
Plenty. Let's take e-commerce for example. If a retailer wants to optimize pricing, they don't just throw out random discounts and hope that it works. They would analyze customer buying patterns, competitor prices, and historical sales data to help them make informed pricing decisions. And that's what being data-driven looks like in real life.
I see. So it's about using actual numbers instead of just guessing what might work. Makes sense. But why is data-driven decision-making so important?
Well, it's simple. It's because data takes the guesswork out of decision-making. Businesses that use data and use it properly see massive advantages. For example, more customer engagement. Let's think about how streaming platforms recommend movies. They don't just guess what you might like. They analyze watch history, ratings, and trends to personalize recommendations. And also they see higher customer retention. That companies use behavioral data to predict and prevent customer churn before it happens. Also, proactive strategy. Instead of just reacting to market changes after they happen, businesses that use predictive analytics, they can actually forecast trends and prepare ahead of time. Let's not forget about just smarter planning, because retailers that use data to decide where to open new stores, how to stock inventory, and how to price their products are usually ahead of their competition. And also, I would say it introduces less bias in decision making. So when you rely on data, you eliminate a lot of personal bias from decisions.
Yeah, I love that point about bias. It's easy to think we know what customers want, but data often tells us a very different story. But here's the question. How do companies actually do this?
Great question, Vadym. It's actually a process, because you can't just wake up one day and say, okay, now we are data-driven. From my experience, it takes 6 key steps. So the step 1 is to identify business objectives. And before you even look at data, you need to know what you're trying to achieve. For example, are you trying to increase sales, reduce customer churn, improve marketing ROI? If you don't start with a clear goal, you'll just be drowning in data with no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, I've seen this happen way too often. Companies collect tons of data but have no direction. So once you got a goal, what's next?
Well, step 2 is gathering relevant data. And that means pulling in sales data from your CRM, customer data from analytics tools, market trends from external sources. And here's the thing, not all data is good data, which brings us to step 3, cleaning and organizing data. For example, you have to remove duplicates, fix errors, and make sure the data is actually useful.
Right, because messy data leads to bad insights. And once you have clean data, what's next, Kyrylo?
Well, now comes step 4, which is analyzing the data. And depending on what you're trying to learn, you might use different types of analysis, like descriptive analysis, which says what happened, diagnostic analysis, which explains why did it happen, predictive analysis, which is about what's likely to happen next, and prescriptive analysis, which is all about what should we do about it.
All right, and this is where businesses actually start getting real insights, right? But insights alone don't do much. What is the next step here?
Exactly. Step 5 is taking action. And once you have your findings, you need to adjust your marketing campaigns, optimize pricing strategies, and improve customer support processes. And you don't just need to do it once. You actually see the data in action and act on it.
I love that. Right, so because data is useless if you don't act on it. And I'm guessing this isn't a one-time thing, right?
Yeah, right. Step 6 is monitoring and refining. Data-driven decision making, as I said, isn't a one and done thing. You have to track your results, refine your approach, and keep iterating.
Okay, that is a solid process, but I'm sure it's not always that smooth. What are some common challenges businesses face when trying to become more data-driven?
Of course, there are challenges along the way. Here are some of the biggest ones that businesses face. First, there is usually poor data quality, especially when you start. Garbage in, garbage out. If your data is incomplete or outdated, then your decisions will be too.
Yeah, I've seen businesses rely on messy data and wonder why things don't add up. So, what's the fix here?
Well, regular data cleaning and validation to make sure that your data is accurate and up to date. And then we have also data silos, when different teams use separate tools and no one has the full picture. It happens pretty often.
Yeah, I've seen situations where marketing, sales, and finance all have their own version of the truth.
Yeah, so to fix this, I usually recommend to centralize data in a single platform, like Google BigQuery or Snowflake. And then you might have a lack of data literacy in your team, especially if you're just starting out. Even great data is useless if no one knows how to interpret it.
Yeah, love that quote. So, even with perfect dashboards, people can still misread them?
Yeah, exactly. I've seen it numerous times. Businesses need training programs to boost data literacy, not just misreading. People sometimes rely too much on historical data, but they forget that past success doesn't usually guarantee future results.
Yeah, right. Trends shift fast. So, how do businesses stay ahead?
Well, they use a mix of historical and real-time data for better predictions. And also don't fall into the trap of confirmation bias, because people usually like to cherry pick data when they become familiar with it to fit their opinions instead of letting data lead the way.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So, how do you keep decisions objective then?
Well, one way is to involve multiple teams in analysis to avoid one-sided conclusions.
Yeah, I love that last point. Data is only helpful if you use it objectively. So, let's wrap this up. We covered what data-driven decision making is, why it's important, the 6 key steps to become data-driven, and the biggest challenges businesses face. If someone wants to start making more data-driven decisions today, what's the most important first step?
Yeah, let's reiterate. Start with a clear objective. You don't need fancy analytics tools right away. You can just ask yourself, what do I want to learn and what business problem am I solving with this? And once you have that, everything else like collecting, analyzing, and acting on data, it just becomes much easier.
That's a perfect takeaway. Thanks, Kyrylo, for breaking it all down for us. And for all our listeners, if you want to take data-driven decision-making to the next level, visit owax.com and check out OwaxBI. We help businesses turn data into action. Also, feel free to explore our new semantic layer and data modeling tool within OwaxBI. It's free to start and incredibly useful for building all your corporate reports. We empower businesses to make business data accessible to everyone. Check out the link in the description for more details and join our community of passionate data professionals. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the Data Crunch podcast.
Thanks, Vadym, for having me, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. Stay data-driven, folks, and we will see you in the next episode.